What's up, guys? This is Ranbir, and today we have a little topic that's been brewing about in the internet for quite a while. And actually, this predates the internet because this is just a human tendency. And that is, if I'm ascribing or following a certain method of doing something or believing something, I wrap up my identity in that. And so, for example, what I'm talking about is, hey, I love to, let's say, do ketogenic diets, okay? By the way, for anybody who's gonna start talking shit about the ketogenic diet, like, I've tried all these diets, guys. I try not to speak about things that I have no experience on. And this is something that I've done many years ago, and if you look at history, you will see that this is not the first time the ketogenic diet has been brought about. These things go in cycles, as do most things. So what people tend to do is that they're following a certain belief system or program or diet, and then, you know, when somebody else mentions something that might suggest that this isn't the best or anything in opposition to that, and a lot of times it doesn't even have to be opposition, it just has to be bringing up points, like even in an unbiased way, what will happen is people will get really butthurt and feel the need to go in and attack other people. And so there's a couple of things to realize here. One is that it's not that big of a deal, okay? You want to do keto, go for it, okay? You want to sit here and talk about why the science is this, why the science is that. Like, look, okay, if we want to talk about the science, we can open up a chemistry book, a biology book, and we could take a look at what is actually going on. Just because you read a few articles on the internet, you were in a forum, or maybe you were in a Facebook group, doesn't make you an expert. One thing that I like to say is, like, don't talk about things you don't know about, all right? And so what tends to happen is, you know, when you, to finish that point, if keto or high-fat and low-carb diets were actually the best, okay, which, by the way, it doesn't matter what the best is. The only thing that matters is what is best for you and what is working for you at the moment, all right? And even that changes. It changes from moment to moment, from time period to time period. You know, a year from now or 5 years from now, you might be doing something else because that might be the new thing that's working best for you, all right? So don't get caught up in, you know, methods. And this leads me to one of my, you know, favorite quotes. It's like, you know, the man who knows methods, you know, will always be lost, but the man who conquers principles can use any method, right? And so if you know the principles of how the body works and how to be healthy, then it won't really matter, because I can tell you right now, I can go and do keto and I'll be just fine, all right? But at the end of the day, if it was really the best, all athletes would be on a low-carb, high-fat diet, okay? But the fact of the matter is, virtually all athletes are on high-carb diets, okay? They're not lining up. People are not lining up. It's not even 50%. It's not even 25%. It's not even 10%, okay? Vast majority of athletes eat high-carbohydrate diets because that works the best. And these people, there's a lot at stake for these people. So if you really want to talk about what's best, you know, then you need to understand that where the money is at, they would make sure they were doing the best thing, okay? And again, like I said, you could take a look at the science of it, you know, not an article that cites a study, okay? Because we can find studies to back up anything, all right? And then, you know, so that's one thing, okay? Just because you have one guy or five guys who are on ketogenic based diets, that's great, okay? But you can't say, oh yeah, look at these exceptions to the rule, and then use that as the basis of your argument. That doesn't work, right? At the end of the day, like I said, in regards to this, it's what works best for you today, okay? So if you enjoy it and it feels good and it's convenient for you, do it. Now, the second thing I want you to think about, okay, because I find this again and again, all right? And my experience, my pool of people that I've worked with allows me to see patterns, okay? Not to mention working and having worked and being friends with and talking to a lot of people who are really, really good at this. Really, really good at this, right? The best in the world. And what tends to happen is people do a diet, right? And they start something, and this gives them structure for the first time. And then they have this structure, and then what happens is that then they become consistent with something for the first time in their lives, right? And all of a sudden they get all these results, and they're like, see, this is the key. This is the magic. Great. Well, the reality is it wasn't the thing, right? The method that gave you the results. So you're sitting here talking about the method, but the thing that actually worked was the principles. And the principle at play here is the fact that you are now being consistent, right? And you are being being patient and sticking with one thing long enough for you to see results. All right? And that's really the key. And there is nothing wrong with that. But don't get confused, because this leads you down this path of like I said, you get attached to the ketogenic diet. Like, you're not the ketogenic diet. Come on now. People can be people can say whatever they want about the ketogenic diet. Why are you getting so wrapped up in it? Right? Because you don't have this understanding or awareness. And so that's very important. And that goes into, causation versus correlation. Like, just because something is happening alongside the result you want doesn't mean that was the cause of it, okay? And so I want you to remember that, because in my experience, I've been that guy. I did this, right? So I've done many years ago, I did intermittent fasting. I did ketogenic. I did paleo. I did this. I did that. Like, I've tried all of these things. I've done the warrior diet, the meat and cheese diet, the chaos. Like, I've tried a lot of stuff, okay? And every time I did something, guess what? They all worked. And each time I was like, oh, this is the thing. Like, this is how you got to do it. And again, like I said, a human tendency that we have is we want to convince everybody that our way is the best way, when in reality that doesn't really matter, right? The only thing that ends up happening is you become miserable, or you don't feel good, because you're trying to argue with people when at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is, hey, did you feel good? All right, dope. Let's move on now. All right, so just something that I've been noticing, and I know this is just how people are, and that's not going to change, but, if you're listening to this, at the very least, my concern is you, not these people, all right? And so I bring this up to tell you, even if you do what I'm telling you to do, right, which is eat like an adult, and track your calories, all right? If you're doing that, I don't want you to get attached to that. I don't want your identity wrapped in that. I don't want you to get butthurt if somebody says that, oh yeah, they're doing keto. Be like, oh, that's dope, that's cool. All right? And what this will do is put you in a good mood, and then putting yourself in a good mood on a continuous basis is key to continuing to make progress, because as we all know, it is very difficult to do stuff that you know you need to do or you want to do when you are not in a good mood. All right, so just some thoughts, something to think about. See where that can help you. Do you a question to ask yourself, do you wrap up your identity in the diet that you're doing, or the method that you're using, or the training program that you're using? By the way, like, way back when I did CrossFit, I did the same thing with that. Like, I was like, oh no, you know what, you gotta do CrossFit, that's the best way, blah, 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 blah. then you get in arguments and you get upset when that's not the point, right? And so think about that. See if you're doing that, and then allow yourself to get better. Always be open. And plus, check this out. Like, do you really think that you know everything? Like, you figured it all out? Come on now. You know, once we do that, then we deserve to be punched in the elbow pits, because that's the beginning of the end. You have to keep your mind open. And right now, look, I know for a fact, because I've seen it with myself, and I've seen the science, and I've done the research, and I've worked with close to 1,000 people, okay? If you track your calories, okay, you eat a high protein diet, and high compared, you know, it's not high, it's higher than what regular people eat. But regular people, I'm not listening or doing what regular people are doing, because regular people are fat and unhealthy, right? So, eating what would be considered a higher protein diet, I know this works, and despite all that, and I've seen the results, everything is phenomenal. I always, and eating lots of fruits and vegetables and drinking water and getting sleep, and then keeping everything simple, I always, in the back of my mind, keep myself open to new information, just because, right? Always questioning. But in the meantime, I'm not going to be so questioning that I become overwhelmed and I can never make a decision. I have enough information to say, hey, this is what works all the time, most of the time, okay? 90% of the time, this works 65% of the time, okay? Those of you guys who don't get that reference, I don't know what to do with you, but, although I think it was, 60% of the time it works every time, so shout out if you got that reference. But anyways, some things to think about. Hope you guys are having a fantastic Friday, and I will be dropping more of these little mini things so that we can continue to make gains, because I've been doing this a long time, and I've made all these mistakes, I've done all the things, and I've had all the injuries, I've tried all the diets, and my goal is to help you figure it out without as much trouble as I did. You still need to struggle and go through your own growing pains and learning pains, but it's very helpful when you have somebody that you can trust and that you like. If you don't like me and you don't trust me, then don't listen. But other than that, we will continue to get all these gains, all right? And we will become strong and powerful like a snow leopard, okay? Strong, fast, powerful, quiet, blends into the background, right? Majestic, and a calming presence, all right? Have a wonderful day, guys. This is Ranbir. This is the Strength and Fat Loss podcast show. Share it, like it, comment on it, leave a review, whatever you want to do. Just don't be weak. Be strong, all right?